Welcome, everyone, to the Enlightened Path podcast. I'm Patricia Walls, and I'm here today with my longtime soul sister, uh, Goddess Mariposa, and she has a lot of names. A lot of names. And so I just wanted to bring her on. She's got a lot to share with us today. And let me tell you a little bit about her. From what I even know about her, besides what she shared with me. She works in shamanism. She's a spiritual life coach. She's an intuitive healer, a sound healer, spiritual guidance mentor, sacred wisdom keeper, and of the divine feminine.
Yes.
And she works using a lot of different tools. She has a whole magic tool bag, one of those magic tool bags that doesn't have a bottom. She's got one of those.
Indeed. Oh, I like
that. So welcome, Sister Tracy.
Greetings.
And Goddess.
Greetings.
And tell us, what are you going to share with us today?
Well, I wanted to share, first of all, thank you for asking me to come on to the podcast. I'm so proud of you and all of the accomplishments you've done all your life, but prior your books. And I'm so happy for you with that, because I know how long that's been that you've been working on that. And now you just throwing them at us. So I'm like, oh my God, I got to order my books. and your retreats. And I honor you. I honor you. I honor you. I honor you.
Thank you so much. And it was really wonderful when you were joining me for those retreats too.
Oh my gosh. Oh man, yeah.
What a powerhouse.
It was beautiful. And
yeah, the sisters are still talking about that last one you did. Yeah.
Oh wow. Yes. So I am, I still pull from that energy when I need it. And that's when I was telling you, I just miss you and physically miss you, as I know I'm always connected. But yeah. But what I want to talk about is what I have personally been experiencing since 2019. And that's about grief and loss, and learning how to navigate through that and understand it, what it is for me and what it is in a space of the change of how you become, who you become after grief and loss. So what I want to share about is just talking about how I am working through that personally. And in that process, the guides, our ancestors, the Galactics, have been downloading me to no end. But they're telling me that in this time, especially what all of us have been through since 2019 to current day, all of the loss and how we are grieving and how we are emotionally imbalanced and emotionally ill. And through all of the trauma that have taken place upon the planet thus far since the pandemic, I would say even prior, I would say it started in 2019, and how we have been learning how to exist within ourselves outside of that, because they were telling me in that place where people, no, let me go back, because I was told we know it was a part of the awakening consciousness that took place when the pandemic hit. And we all knew as shamans this was coming, right? We knew that major shift to awaken the planet was coming, and it takes those big, hits for us to shift and for the frequencies to shift so that we can begin to awaken. And we know, you and I both know, we've been in this awakening portal since 2011. or earlier. But so, what I have become to understand from the grief and loss and learning how to heal emotionally through the process is really connecting with the ancestral realms and really cultivating deeper communication and awareness, because so many people lost their loved ones that it's a big void in the consciousness, I feel. And a lot of people are still in pain, mentally, physically, and emotionally, and angry, so through that process of what I've been getting and learning and preparing to teach and give people tools to learn how to move through that and come on the other side of it, but realize that you're a different being, right? When you have loss, when you're in a space of losing a person, like in illness, or losing a job, or losing your lifestyle, right? Losing who you were before the pandemic, because people lost their homes, their jobs, their cars, their lifestyles,
Right.
And that's a grieving process. And people are still grieving in that process because their lives are totally different. So on top of losing their livelihoods, they lost family members too.
Right.
So me experiencing that, my mother passed, but she passed of cancer. Then in 2022, my brother passed. So it was, and then I had to shut my business down. So it was a double hit. So my whole world spent upside down, So in that process, going through the grief, going through the emotional trauma and the physical trauma of what was taking place, trying to just survive was a very, let me say, I would say it is, not was, a powerful awareness of who I am. And meaning, when we're going through grief and loss, you begin to really understand who you are as a being and how you function as a being and how you show up, when it's necessary, and all the gifts you have come online when you are in those deep, dark spaces, what we call the dark night of the soul. Is still another aspect of it. When you're in those deep spaces and you can't get out the water, you don't know what to do, but that higher aspect of yourself shows up and you have no idea, how am I functioning? For instance, like when you have a loved one sick and you're taking care of them and being, we can both share, we are shamans, we are healers. And when you have a loved one that is ill, it's like an out of body experience, because you're actually doing shamanic work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You healing, you feeding, you're trying to keep them where you are, and you don't even know how you're moving in it.
They're calling it a heart motivator.
Oh,
this is a heart motive. All of this chaos that we've come into and that we all agreed to, that we agreed to undergo this experiment together. They're calling it a heart motivator.
A heart motivator.
Because it did put us all into our hearts.
It did. It really did. When you think about it, and gratitude for that, when you think about it, it opened the heart space, and it brought in compassion.
Yeah.
It brought in empathy for each other. And it caused, now one thing I love that happened was how families came together,
Right.
communities came together, and they realized how distracted they were in every day-to-day life. And
Mhm.
I love that how people found their purpose in that quietness, in that stillness, you know.
Right.
So absolutely, I received that from the guy saying, you know, it was heart medicine. Like, okay, I just got heart medicine. Okay. So yeah, that is
Yeah.
powerful. That is powerful. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So, you know, another thing, as you know, as a shaman, a light worker, how I was battling within self to work, and I couldn't. I had nothing to give. So that was very traumatic for me. You know, doing this 26 years now, probably more, I don't know. Very traumatic that I don't like to say couldn't, but I couldn't find connection, you know. And it was just like how, you know, spirit was like, be still, be still. Be still, you know,
Yeah.
and try to work. But what was interesting for me, and what has led me to now creating this grief and loss course, is the clients that were coming to me, all of their parents died.
Oh, wow.
I was
Yeah.
like, whoa, okay, what do you want me to do with them? You know, and it was so interesting. Like I said, I was having out of body experiences, and I was being the observer, right, of everything that was going on. So I was standing back, allowing the vessel to be used, but listening and processing what everybody was going through in that space of grief and loss. It was very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the guys were like, people are afraid. People are afraid of death, and people are afraid to lose. And I was like, okay. But I was there to tell them and teach them that first, give them permission to do it. People don't give themselves permission to grieve. And, you know, and it's like, well, I got to hurry up and get better. I got to snap out of it. I got to, you know, do this and do that. And it's like, yes, you have to continue to exist and move, pay your bills and work, but you have to allow yourself space to grieve, and allow yourself space to get the understanding of who you are becoming out of the grief, you know? Yeah.
Right. Because there's that program, baby, you got to be strong.
Yeah.
You got to be strong through this. You got to push through it. Yeah. There's that program.
I hate that. And I don't say hate a lot, but I really hate that.
Yeah.
And I was talking to my sister the other day, and I was like, I don't like the word strong anymore. It's
Right.
overused, it's tainted, it's no. And it's like, if we have to start saying courage, you know, I have courage, I have tenacity or something. It's just like that strong word, being strong women, moving through the pain, and, you know, and you gotta, yes, let me say this. We always say we choose to be where we are, and you can choose to not be okay, you know, right now,
Yeah.
and have a voice to ask for help and assistance.
Right. It's part of the fallen program about the English language. So if I can interrupt just a quick
Yes.
second, I was listening to something earlier, and there was a strong point made. And the point, the guy said something about the word forgiveness, and I'm trying to remember how he put it, but he said, forgiveness is not a healing word. He said, forget it. When people tell you to forgive, he said, he said, because when you say that you forgive someone, you're putting yourself higher than them. I never thought about that, but it made sense. You know, he said, when you say, I forgive you, you're putting yourself higher than them, right? You're making them less than you are. I just found that very interesting.
Yeah,
In alignment with the English language and how there are so many fallen and control, what do they call them? What are they calling it? Control, not control mechanisms. Anyway, there's a word for it. They won't let me say it, but it's controlled something, you know, that was programs that were installed in the English language. In particular. Other countries, other languages don't have that. It's just the English language.
Yeah. That program, the English words, the programs of these words are something else. It is. And you know, I was talking to a friend of mine about words and how we can define, we have to redefine what certain words mean and how we use certain words.
Right.
And then the spirits told me the vibrational frequencies of sound that comes from the voice that creates, that go into the ether. What is it and how we're, what I call the personality, the voice is speaking into the existence and the tones and the frequencies of these words, right? And how people use them in the program. Right. And it's like, we got to figure out how to communicate differently to ourselves, right? And now that I say that, I feel, you know, I'm being guided, the chakras keep lightening up. I'm like, okay, how we can redefine these words. I don't know, now they're talking about by using sound. I'm like, well, we know we can redefine them by using sound, but we have to find the different words.
Right.
You know,
which is where light language comes in, really, because with light language, you can't break it down. You can't, I can't. Some people say they can, but I don't attempt to translate it, because to translate it would be to put those hooks and those control mechanisms in there, right? Instead of allowing the frequencies just to be what they are and not trying to figure them out, not trying to decipher them, you know?
Right. So yeah, that's what I say. Yeah, too.
Yeah.
It's like, why, what are you saying? I'm like, just receive the frequencies. Like,
right.
You know, when I'm channeling and speaking light language, I'm not worried about what it means.
Right.
You know, just receive and let it do what it's doing for your beingness. Like,
yeah, we're just the hollow bones. We're just allowing the frequencies to move through us.
Right. And that is it, you know. Yeah. So absolutely.
Yeah, I kind of have a joke that, you know, that I share with people when I'm doing the galleries. I'll tell them sometimes I'm standing over to the side going, what the fuck was that?
Yes. You're right.
What did they say? What was that? You know?
Oh my God.
So the beings have great laughs with me. It's like I'm their source of entertainment some days, you know.
I know you are, because sometimes you're like, dude, what?
And what did I just say? What did she just say? What was that sound?
Right.
Where did that come from?
Right. You know, for me, I have been in a space when I'm talking to our guys at the Galactics, it's like a part of me I've realized throughout the years, even like I would say even trying to time when I first met you, um, I was afraid, I think, to speak a lot of the light language to people. Even before we start, I was told I was a galactic shaman and what that was. And I think even like to this day now, it's like I'm embodying something different or a different awareness of myself. Maybe you can hear something about it. I don't know.
A
But
different aspect. When was the last walk-in that you consciously experienced?
I don't know.
Because it is a different you. They're higher aspects of you, but they have a different personality,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So your food likes and dislikes may change. Your circle will most certainly change.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, because they're you, but they're a higher aspect of you.
Yeah. Yeah. I received that. Yeah.
Yeah, and you do change.
Yeah.
That's the last one that I experienced is when the light language came in. So that's what she brought. She brought the light language.
Okay. See, I didn't understand it like that because I've been speaking light language for a while, and now when I'm doing sessions, the light language comes more in the sessions. Like I had a session earlier and it was interesting. It was like a sealing up energy, but it was a light language, and I was like, wow, that was beautiful.
Yeah, that was cool. Where did
that
that
was
come from?
nice.
Yeah.
And but people have always told me, when I channel or I'm working or I'm doing life readings, they're like, oh, who is that? And I'm like, what? It's like, oh, it was a Tibetan man sound and a
Right.
Cuban lady or something, I'm like, really? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what the beings told me about that, because you learn something every day, right? If you're listening, you learn something every day. And what the beings shared was that they always talked about our family of origin and our planet of origin. And I never really understood that before I was writing this last book and the information came out. And so what they explained, or my understanding of it was, people were always asking me, what planet where did I come from? That's how they put it. People would always say, where did I come from? And I'm like, God.
Right. Right. Right.
Everything came from God.
Right.
And I never understood what their question really was until now. And now I understand. Their question is, what was the first planet, if you want to say planet, that I incarnated into? What was my first experience of coming into physical being? I think that's really the question they have. And so when I'm transmitting light language, what I learned, because I'll sound different from time to time, right? And so what I learned was I am only the channel, right? And so I'm bringing in the codes that person needs to connect with their source. And so if their source is the Pleiades, then that is what it sounds like. And if their source is Sirius, then that's what it sounds like, right? And some people, when they say, you sound Italian, or you sound African, or you sound Tibetan.
Yeah.
Well, we all came from different planets, different star systems.
Mm-hmm.
So African people came from a particular star system.
Mhm.
And so whenever I sound African, it's because I'm channeling that portion of the light language from that star system.
That makes so much sense.
It did to me. I'm like, okay, now I finally get it,
Oh, wow.
because they, at first they had told us, not me, they had told Laura Rose, that I did the other galleries with. She's the first one that talked to me about the Tower of Babel, and that made sense to me. That when we went in the Tower of Babel, we were
Yes.
speaking one language. When we came out, we were speaking different languages, and I'm thinking, okay, that explains, Italian and English and Spanish. That explains that, right? But how does it explain how light language sounds?
Right.
And so she tells stories, she tells great stories. And so she told a story about this one client that she had. And after she finished his transmission, he shared with her that he spoke 8 languages.
Wow.
And he said, I can pick out of your one transmission, I could pick up a twinge of Italian. I could pick up a twinge of Vietnamese. I could pick up a twinge of French, And so I asked the beings, okay, explain this one to me, Lucy, right? And their explanation was, it is one source language that got splintered off. We went into the Tower of Babel. Not only the people splintered off, but the language splintered off. And so some people got a sliver, that became French. Some people got a sliver that became Italian, but it also came from another planet system.
Right.
And so, it's still one source language, but they told me that the one source language, that human beings can't contain it, right? We can't contain the one source language. We still can only contain fractions of it.
Fractions, yeah. That
Which
makes
is why, we sound Italian 1 minute, and we sound French 1 minute. It's still a fraction that particular person, place, or thing needs. I was listening to my spirit daughter, and when she transmits light language, she does a lot of clicks.
Oh, that's an African thing.
I didn't know that. I did not know that.
Yeah.
And I was watching, I ran across a TikTok.
Yes.
I love TikTok because
Mhm.
because you can't keep my attention for very long. So TikToks are perfect for me.
Right.
So, so there was a TikTok, and it was that an African tribe that when they talk, they automatically click, right? And I went, oh my God, that's where Tiffany's getting it from.
Wow.
That's what she's connected to, that system, right?
I think that's an Arcturian thing.
It might be, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
either Syrian or Arcturian. I don't know, but it always feels like that to me.
And I read an article. I'm sorry that we're getting off topic.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, I read an article, and I can't quote it exactly, but I read an article and about light language and this person's view of light language. And she was saying that people who, she was saying that the Vietnamese, no, how does she put it? Anyway, looking at different star systems, I'm just going to say, what is it, Andre? It starts with an A. What is it called?
Andromeda?
Andromeda. Okay. I think she was saying the Andromedas, the Vietnamese, anyway, the Andromedas and the Vietnamese are the same. Okay. And so whenever someone transmits light language and it sounds Vietnamese, it is the Andromedans.
Wow.
Right. And then she also tied it in with the Pleiadians. She tied that into a particular group. And, and also the Syrian, she tied that, into a particular group here on the planet. And so it all made sense. And I'm going, oh, okay. Because I was going, okay, I understand if we all went into the Tower of Babel and we came out speaking different languages, but how does that explain the star groups?
Right.
And so now I've gotten clarity on that. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense, because if you think about it, and the different stories, I guess if you talk about the Anunnaki, or when they came, but those different systems, the different beings on those systems came here as well.
Yeah, we're all seated, Yeah.
So it makes sense, that those different beings had different frequencies of sound and language, and
Right.
Well, so
my table had an earthquake here.
So there you go.
Yeah.
It's just very interesting, and that's another powerful thing that I love that's happening. That aspect of the remembrance.
Yeah.
A seeking. I'm almost commanding the information. Like I had one night I got upset, because I was like, I don't know what kind of game you guys are playing.
Did you ever meet my daughter Deetra?
No.
She used to call it baby Jesus meltdowns. That's what she called that.
I don't know what kind of game y'all playing, but this is not funny. I just go off sometimes, It's just like, hey, we need some, some intervention here or something,
Yeah.
Yeah, but.
Yeah, I have those baby Jesus meltdowns, but for as connected as people think I am, I never get an answer.
Exactly.
I just spew it out and have my meltdown, and then it's like, well, what good was that? You didn't give me any answer. They're probably if they're going, well, if you'd shut up for 5 minutes, we might could tell you something.
Exactly. Hey, it's the emotional journey,
Right.
It's the emotional journey, and it's just, navigating through, hey, the physicality of it, I guess, because it is. We have a right to be frustrated and irritated, with the experience. I feel with the experience, and
right.
Yeah, and it's, I think we have the right to say, be of service to me, because I'm doing the work here. I'm here. So if you can send me some frequencies down, or whatever the situation is, and help me shift this thing here so I can get a different perspective, then that's what I need.
Right. And circling back to the grieving process, that's it. I mean, that's all part of the grieving process is getting your frustrations out there and asking for help.
Yeah, exactly. Asking for help from physical, mental and spiritual. It's like knowing that that's your birthright to say, I need assistance here, physically, people around you, and getting out of as you were saying, that program, I'm strong, I'm okay, and not saying to people, I'm not okay. I don't even know what I am, and I remember feeling like that, and still do. I don't know what the hell is going on. You know what I'm saying? And then people look at you because of what we do, and they're like, well, why don't you know? And you're like, I'm still having an emotional human experience. It does not matter if I go in meditation and I'm talking in light language for an hour. It don't matter. It hurt. I'm physical. My life is upside down.
Yeah.
So when people are in those spaces of sadness and depression and, grieving and don't know what to do and don't even know how to breathe, don't even take a minute to step back and breathe, so going through this process and learning how to um, use the tools that I have to help pull me through, but also give myself permission that if I want to lay in the bed for 2 days, I'm gonna lay in the bed for 2 days.
Yeah.
And being so gentle and having so much compassion for yourself, in those processes to begin to come on the other side of it, and it's just interesting that you have me talking about it as I'm working on it and going through it, and being the observer at the same time.
Right.
So like some things I've come up with was like really defining the impact on the emotional well-being in that space of grief, the impact of it. Learning how to connect the grief in my physical, in my emotional, in my spiritual body, and how it showed up and how it's showing up for me. Like for me, for instance, it showed up physically, like my body swelled. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, how did I gain 60 pounds? You know what I'm saying? It feel like 60 pounds, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, what is that? And then the emotional part of it, like when you go through those processes of picking up the phone and saying, I need to call my mom. You're like, oh yeah. You know what I mean? And then just how it looks for you physically and what you're doing physically, to start dealing with it. So that start making me really think about, using some different tools in my life and using my mindfulness things and just allowing myself to be gentle with myself and remind me and say, it's okay. And nurturing my inner child, nurturing my little girl, and being a mother and a father to myself, right? And at the same time, still grieving mom and dad, but telling my little girl it's okay, and you can cry and it's okay. You want to eat a piece of cake? Eat a piece of cake. It's okay. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You don't want to talk to nobody? You don't have to talk to nobody. It's okay, and then be in that beginning stage of it, right? And then as I start coming out of it and introducing, mindfulness daily practices, and that was, I just started with, remember, like every morning, take 5 deep breaths, just be present. You hear, you know what I mean? And then just start speaking into myself, and everything's working out for me and everything's moving for me. What was I doing with that? I was trying to break stuff down like so easy and so simple. When I started taking clients and they were going through that process and really helping them through the anger, but giving themselves permission to be angry. Right? Because sometimes people get in the space, I didn't do enough, or I wasn't there, or I didn't get to say something to them, or da 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 da. And really allowing yourself to be in that space, but then being a mother to yourself and telling yourself it's okay. And then from there, I realized that people, I mean, it's a lot more in between that, but realizing in the space, I would think of the journey of self-discovery and discovering yourself and looking at yourself differently. Because I went through a space of I'm alone. It
Oh,
hit
yeah.
different. You know what I'm saying? It's like you don't have nobody on this world, on this planet that loves you like your mama. For me, because me and my mom were very close. And it became a okay. And then you start going through this realization, like, who's gonna love me, or do anybody care about me? Or, you go through these different things, and then people show you who they are in your grief. That is
Yeah.
what's powerful for me. And when people were able to show you who they were in your life, how they showed up for you in the darkest part of your life, even in loss, who showed up for you, how they showed up for you. And it starts to show you and teach you who you are, right? And who you are as a being and how you show up for people. And then it takes you to a place of learning the value of yourself and your self-worth. And then you start putting in healthy boundaries. And it's like a cycle of different awarenesses that start when you are in the darkest space of death and loss.
Right, because they're not the only ones that die.
Right.
You die too.
You die too.
Right. There's a part of you that dies as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I didn't, both of my parents are gone over, and I didn't have a relationship with my mother. I was 17 when she died, but so we never had that mother-daughter thing ever, ever. And so, but I still, for at least 5 years, maybe more, because it's been a minute. So I dreamed of her every night.
Wow.
I grieved her so hard that I would dream that she wasn't really dead. She just left me, and I would go find her. I would track her down,
Wow.
and so, and then she would just like kind of dismiss me. So for 5 years or more, I dreamed of her every night, and I grieved her, even though we didn't really have a relationship. The typical mother and daughter.
Yes.
Nope, never had it.
Level of nurturing.
She was always working. She worked all the time, and so she didn't have time to be a mother. And when my dad died, my mother and dad divorced when I was like 5 years old. So I never knew him. I didn't know him until the last year of his life. And then it was by phone call or letters because he lived in Missouri. But still, when he died, it was like a key got turned and I realized I was an orphan. I was in my 30s. I was in my late 30s when my dad died. And I still had the awareness of, oh, now you're an orphan.
Yes.
What is that? Where did that come from?
Where in the world did that come from? Right.
I had been on my own for years and years and years. My parents didn't support me ever, really. But, and so, yeah, that's just the child mentality. So even if you don't have a relationship with your parents, when they die, there's still a death that occurs with us, right? We still go through a grieving process.
Absolutely. That's again, that's like recognizing that connection between grief and the physical and the emotional aspects of yourself.
Right.
And when they are physically gone, even though if you haven't talked to your mom or talked to your dad, it's a sever that cord You know what I mean? It's
Right. The
like,
child dies. The
yes,
child in you dies when that happens.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's like, that's what I was talking about, the new um being that comes online,
Right.
you
Right.
know. And it's like, well, who are you? Right? You're like, this is a rediscover. Who are you? What's your name? You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'm the you that's responsible for you now. I'm the
Yes.
you that's going to take care of you now.
Hmm.
I'm the you
Hmm.
that's going to nurture you now.
Yes.
I'm the you that's going to protect you now. So,
Exactly. Exactly. And trusting that, and then going through the trusting yourself aspect of it. And
right.
that's a powerful thing. So when we are like we were talking about how, you know, going through all of that, and then when you're getting to the point of, when I say about the shamanic practices of healing grief and really working with the ancestral, and building that relationship and what that relationship looks like, you know, um, and connecting with, your guides and your ancestors on a different level, and really cultivating different ritualistic things that we can do to stay connected and feel connected, and how they begin to show up in the dream world, or show up in a memory of laughter. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, okay, I feel you. I know you're here,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Mhm.
Like I had a dream, and I was like, Mom, why you not? Well, the first time she came to me, I was in meditation, and she was like, do you see me? And I was,
Being sassy.
girl, it was like this cluster of color, and she was spinning around, and she's like, do you see me, Tracy Lynn? I see you, Mom. I see you, you know. And it because I was crying, I was like, where are you? You haven't showed up yet, you know. And so little dreams would start. And I would say the last dream I had, and it's interesting what you were talking about, how that orphan feeling, or that aloneness feeling of,
Right.
by yourself.
Hmm.
And the dream I had, I was on a path, and um walked to it walked up, and it was a white tablecloth, and it was food and flowers and everything, and my grandmother was standing there, my brother was standing there, my mom, my uncle, and we were feasting at the table, and they were like talking to me, and they were like, everything is gonna be all right. It was interesting. It was very powerful, right?
Uh-huh.
But just understanding that those are the messages, and how those messages come, right? In a gentle way, for people that are not into shamanism, and not into meditation or whatever, but understanding that dream world, that dream state, and asking your ancestors to help you and come to service for you and communicate to you when you go into the dream state. Ask them before you go, you know and tell them to help you and assist you, and just let me know you're okay, or whatever it is that you're needing to feel connected. you
Hmm.
know that's a part of the ancestral work, um that I do in the program that I'm doing. And then when I'm like doing spiritual work on the being, to help recalibrate, I would call the biofield, to recalibrate the self and realign the self, so that on those shamanic journeys, they can go in and communicate, you know, with their ancestors, and ask them to give them perspective or clarity or whatever it is that they're needing in the assistance. And I keep telling them, that's your DNA. That's in your program. They're right there. You know what I mean? And just calling upon them and remembering them and letting them know. And I was told that we have to remember that when our loved ones go to the next plane, that our prayers, our connections, our wishes for them is assisting them, you know, because
Prayers are prayers, right?
prayers
Yeah.
are prayers, you know, they're being that you are assisting them in wherever they are at and where they're elevating to or going to. You are assisting that DNA. You are still connected. That soul, that's in the Akasha, honey. It's there, you know, but being able to merge those energies, I would say, using our shamanic practices and helping people release the trauma and the pain or the loss, and coming into a level of self-awareness in it and acceptance in it. And that's when I use sound and meditation, guided meditation, to help them travel within themselves so they can see, you know, where they are and reprogram, right, themselves to where they're going, you
Right.
know, where you want to go, you know. So yeah, that's a powerful thing. The sound work, as you know, the shamanic work, and really teaching people the power of that and how they can use that. If it's just drums or whatever, you know, putting a CD on and holding an intention to be able to tap into that space for themselves as well, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, because it hits them. They integrate sound differently than they integrate. Let me put it this way. The being said that humans integrate musical instrument sounds differently from they integrate human verbal sounds.
Right, makes sense.
Because there's still distortions in our human verbal sounds. Because we haven't, even when I'm speaking, there's an intention. And the intention can be distorted.
Wow.
So when people say they're speaking over you, I'm very careful who I allow to get into my fields and who can do work on me.
Oh, you telling the truth.
Yeah, because even when someone is speaking prayers over you, there's still an intention behind that.
Right.
And if their fields are not clear, if their intention is not clear, then you're getting all kinds of distorted stuff. But musical instruments, there's no intention behind that. It's pure frequency.
Pure frequency.
So people react differently to sound healing, and sound healing has become a big thing now, right? Because I think people are understanding that there is a difference in how their body, mind, spirit, emotions react to sound frequencies versus voice frequencies.
Voice frequency. That's beautiful, because when you stop and think about it, ooh, that's deep. When you stop and think about it and know that we are sound,
right?
First,
we are sound too, sister. But for instance, grief, right? If I am going through grief and I'm working on someone and I don't put my ego to the side.
Oh yeah, that's a problem.
Right. Then what they're getting is grief frequencies.
Yeah.
If the practitioner doesn't consciously put their ego to the side, you know, put their pain, their grief to the side and become a clear channel, then what that person's receiving is that.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't let just anybody work on me, right? The person that works with me and on me has to know how to put their little ego to the
They got
side.
to put it to the side. You have to.
Yeah. They got to put their self over here and just be a clear channel.
Yeah. Because you can't, I don't even know how to do that.
How to put your
no, I'm talking about how not to.
Right. A lot of people do it intuitively and automatically, but a lot of people don't. And so you feel the difference. You felt the difference when someone attempted to work on you.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, thank you. You
try to suck my energy.
I kindly refuse.
Refuse and reject.
Because your intuition goes, it's not a clear channel over there. You might want to just back off a little bit.
Yeah, that's true.
But
that's true.
People have, I sincerely believe that people have good intentions and they want to help other people. I do believe that. But not everybody knows. And sometimes they know and they don't put their little ego to the side so that they can be a clear channel.
Yeah, that's true. What do you think about, I know it's, I'm going to say this. What do you feel about, I know it's a conscious movement in reference to the sound healing work and how a lot of these people are coming online and some of it, I feel like they're playing, and I try not to be in judgment, right? But it's like the energy is it's like for show, and it's like they're playing, and I'm like, okay, spirit, but you just answered my question. Okay. It's the intention. It's the intention.
Yeah.
So
because you're not just getting the sound from the instruments.
Right.
The human being is also putting out frequencies. And one of the things that I try to remember, and try is not a good word, but it's an English word. One of the things that I attempt to remember is that we're all human right now. We're all in a third dimensional dense body, and we're all here to learn and experience. And so there's that little part of Patricia, that Aries person that goes, what the hell? And then there's the other part of that Patricia that goes, oh, baby, they're still trying, you know?
Yeah.
And so I just respectfully decline. And at one point, something came up about someone in the community who was doing work, right? And there was this one person that was criticizing this person and saying, oh my God, I wouldn't go to that person for any work. That person, da 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 da, and why do people, because this person that they were talking about had a huge following, huge following, made big money, know, and so that was part of the confusion, with this person was, why do they have so many clients? Why are they doing so much when you can see what they're doing? You can see that they're hooking people in. You can see that they're damaging people and wounding people. And why do people keep going to them? And for me, the answer was, that's what those people need. Right. Those people needed that experience
vibrationally too.
They still need that experience. It's not all love and light. Sometimes we need to have a hard experience.
Yeah.
Sometimes we need to be deceived so that we have something to compare to.
That's true.
And so when I run across those people and I run across them a lot, you know, like you said, they're into their ego. I just greet them as I would greet anybody else, because they're still providing a service
Right.
that somebody needs, or
Right.
they wouldn't have all those people around them. So they're still providing a service that
Yeah.
people need. And who am I to judge,
Right.
you know,
Exactly.
why this person goes to that person?
Right.
Because
That's
they
what I
apparently
always say.
need what they got to offer,
That's what I
and they
always
don't
say.
need what I have to offer, you know?
Exactly. Exactly.
So
That's what I really learned about frequency, and you know, what you are energetically putting out is what you energetically experiencing. So then that's your frequency, that's your wave. Then okay, you know, and it's just
right,
allowing that to be what it is. And that's when, you know, some people ask me certain things. I'm like, I don't have no opinion, you know, about nothing. Because again, whatever that person vibrates at and they are attracted to that frequency, that's where they are.
right.
So
And because, and think of it this way too, sister. I may not have the huge following that they have, but the following that I do have, they're
it's solid.
badass. Okay.
It's
They are
solid.
badass
It's solid.
because the people who do work with me are ready to do the work.
It's
You know, they're
solid.
masters. They are
Yeah.
masters in their own rights.
Exactly.
And they're coming to just for me to help them remember
Yes.
that they're masters. They're not here to bullshit. They're not here to waste my time.
Exactly.
And so it's the saying that we have in our community, right? There is no competition.
It's just love.
Whoever needs to learn from you will come to you.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah. It's just love. It's always the, you know, the intention is love.
Right.
You know, always. I mean, I'm speaking for myself. It's always love.
Yeah.
You know, like I tell people, if I could do this work and live very comfortably, like the goddess I am, and be very comfortable, I wouldn't charge a dime, you know, because that's what I'm here to do. You know what I mean?
There's a but, and I had this conversation with somebody recently.
Yeah.
There has to be an energy exchange.
It has to be an energy. I get
that. You're not doing them any favors.
I get that. I get that. Yeah, I respect that. Yeah, that's yeah, for sure. I respect that. If it was a different time,
but it's not.
But it's not.
And so that's why you're still being kept at this level, you know, where you require that energy exchange to do things that you need to do or want to do.
Oh yeah.
And so
Oh yeah.
Otherwise you'd be giving it away, and you know, people would be not
and they
not
don't
receiving
respect
it. They wouldn't receive it.
They don't receive and respect it. That's for sure. Learned that a long time ago.
Yeah. I have these conversations with one person that I know. Said that she at one point she only asked for donations.
See, no.
And some people would give her $1, right? And some people would give her 500.
Yeah.
And there is a difference between, if you give $1, then that's all you think you're receiving, $1's worth of service.
Exactly.
But if you give $500, you are receiving everything that they're giving out, because you want your money's worth, right?
Indeed. Hey, that's my motto, you know. And yeah, just throughout the years working and keep raising your price. And it's just when you begin to see the value and the worth and the change and the transformations of people's lives and where they are, you value everything that you are and who you are. And when you walk in a room, you know what's coming with you.
Right.
And it's just like, I'm so thankful. I would just say gratitude. I don't really like to say thank you, but being in this deep space of gratitude and awareness, when you've done this level of journey work and healing work, the value in the energy and what's coming out of your being, and you're tired and you're exhausted, and people think it's a show, and it's like, no, honey, this is work. It's not ice creams and rainbows and lollipops.
Yeah.
Okay. It's physical, mental, spiritual work, so this, when you start to just, really value yourself more as a light worker and, shamanic worker, and really, really embracing and respecting that for yourself. Like, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, before I forget, will you talk to us about your programs and what you're offering? Because you hit on the programs, but can you go into a little bit more detail?
So the one I'm working on now, like we were talking about, let me pull these up so I can see what I'm doing.
The grief programs.
Yeah,
and
so the one I'm working on now, that'll be coming online in August. I don't have a date yet, but in August. It's the healing through grief, and emotional loss, using mindfulness, shamanic tools, and sound healing. So it's going to be like an 8-week program that we're going to be doing, and it's going to be understanding grief and loss, cultivating mindfulness of grief and healing, and then shamanic practices for grief and loss. Yeah. And sound healing for emotional release. So just, releasing that emotional trauma and things of that nature, navigating the dark night of the soul in that aspect. And then another one will be embracing ancestral healing and cultivating self-care in that space, and integrating forward movement in that grief and loss process of how you're going to move forward, and what steps you're going to be taking, and personalizing a particular plan for yourself, and then just giving different tools and meditation techniques and things of that nature that people will be doing daily, and resources and things of that nature for that particular program. And then the other things I have is, of course, I feel like I'm finna start channeling. Ooh, no.
Go for it.
Life path readings and things of that nature. I'm also doing DNA activations, chakra healing, chakra activations, alignments, intuitive body work, things of that nature. But the most things that I'm really focused on is the programs and the courses, and creating systems for people to implement into their lives. Because when you do readings and things, you get so many people trying to get instant gratification, tell me something, and it's like, you got to do the work to heal. So, I always start everything out with the life path reading to begin the process of walking you through your healing journey, right? Your awareness journey. So,
Well, those are deep dives.
It's deep dives, it's deep work. So I don't have time to put the band-aids on you. I'm not that shaman for you, and if you're ready to do the work and dive deep into what you need to heal to transform your life, I'm your girl,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the work we're gonna do. But I'm also just gonna, I'm still moving forward and wanting to do some retreats, wanting to collaborate. So we definitely talk, and getting myself back out to working in the community and
My
connecting.
dog is
I
going
see him.
nuts. I'm sorry.
Hey, I see him back there. And just working in the community and getting myself back in connection, because I've been asking, where's my family at? Because I need y'all.
Yeah.
And really going through, the grief and loss process and realizing, where's my shamanic family? And I'm like, it's something I'm not doing. I need to connect. So that's my goal, to do that.
Well, I think speaking for myself and some of the circle, I won't say my family because they're your family, but speaking of the circle, I've noticed that a lot of us are doing the same thing that you're doing on different levels. Because like you mentioned earlier, grief is not just about death of a loved one, right?
Right.
People are grieving death of jobs, death of relationships, death of knowing self, death of health.
Yes.
People are most everybody that I know is experiencing a death.
Yes.
We're all coming out of that, just beginning to reconnect, and so and it's hard to sometimes it's hard to hear that when you're in the middle of it and you're like, where is everybody?
Yeah.
But and then it's hard to say, oh wait, I'm a spiritual being and they were just here 5 minutes ago, and we were all doing this work. I forgot about that. But having them here in the physical would be nice.
It would be nice. It would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. It will be nice. But I think too is, I think what I'm getting as light workers, especially us, our old school, that we kind of been around for a little bit, a lot of us are exhausted, and I think that Spirit is, okay. Whoa. Okay.
Just to say whatever they're telling you to say. Otherwise, they're gonna beat you up with it. So
because I just saw being outside, the fire, drumming. Okay. You guys are not doing it enough. It has to be normalcy. It needs to be normal. It needs to be okay. It needs to be it has to be a normalcy in it, not a month or 3 months. It has to be a normalcy for you all to be able to purge and release more than 6 months, a year.
yeah, that's true.
We have to refuel. We have to refuel, and this is the way to refuel, that we have to okay, let me just say what I gotta say. So it is time for sacred gathering. It's time for connection. And when you are in this space of gathering in connection and sisterhood, It is important because you all are needing to get the codexes, and the way the codexes are working now, it is causing for you to be intertwined and interlinking for these different codexes to come about, as you call the sacred languages to come about in these different circles, needing to be done at this time more frequently. This needs to be a readiness. This is what needs to be, as you say, in the sisterhood of cultivating these connections on a deeper level, so that you are able to get the, as you say, downloads, or as you say, upgrades that are needed for you at this time in this journey. What it will do is refuel you. What it will do is activate different crystalline structures within the beingness. So these are the things that you are missing or seeking for each other. Okay, thank you. Gratitude.
Thank you very much for that message. Yeah, it is true.
It is true. It is true. So that's definitely the pull you got to do the circle, but it's like it needs to be normal, like what we used to do. Because when I saw it, I was seeing the temples, and it was like on a Sunday, you know, like this what y'all supposed to be doing. You know,
Yeah.
y'all supposed to be eating and sitting around and downloading and eating and whatever, like normalcy, like it's normal. Like that's the part that's the soul is craving.
Yeah, mine is definitely craving that. No, we need to get back to that.
Yeah. And you went to Egypt, and I can't wait to go home.
I brought some sand back, so when I see you, I'll share that.
How was the trip?
It was good. I went with a group. I went with the tour, and the lady who arranged the tour did an amazing job of it. Yeah, it's a very good trip. It was good to connect with those energies over there that it was good to get the memories back. And to meet a new sisterhood, because there were 13 of us, and I knew 3 of them, right? And I didn't know the other 10. And we're going to the UK again in October, and there will be 8 of us from that 13 that are coming back together.
Oh, wow.
So I made new sisters
nice.
On that trip.
Okay, yeah. Great.
And they're from all over the world. New Zealand, Australia, New Orleans, New York, Sweden, Tanzania, and India. So I mean, they were from all over the world, and it was just the most amazing group of masters that came together.
Yeah. I keep feeling so much Stonehenge energy.
Yeah, yeah, sure. We're going to Stonehenge. These women have never been to the UK. And so it'll be their first trip. And every time that I go to the UK, and this will be my 15th trip, every time that I go, someone different usually goes with me who's never been to Stonehenge. So I've been to Stonehenge like 15 times.
I'm saying it like it's on you. Like,
yeah. I really honestly am not impressed with Stonehenge because they changed it.
Yeah, they messed it up.
As a matter of fact, I swear they moved it, but no one's going to admit that.
They messed the gateway up on purpose.
Yeah. So it doesn't, for me, it doesn't have the same feeling that it did. And I don't think it's because I've just become used to the frequencies, but but I always go because it's always someone new with me who needs to see it. They need to experience it. So yeah, there will be a Stonehenge trip. My favorite place is actually Avebury.
Really?
Avebury is the Stonehenge. You have to pay to go close to the circles. You have to pay extra. You can see the circles from the circle from a distance with general admission, but if you pay a little bit more, you can go to the inner circle. You still can't touch the stones, but you can at least go inside of them. But Avebury, which is like maybe 30 minutes from Stonehenge, Avebury, the town is built inside of the circle.
Wow.
And so the circle is available.
Oh, wow.
You know, you can hold on to, you know, wrap your arms around the stones if you need to. So Avebury is my favorite.
Okay.
When I go there, I have to go to Avebury.
Well, it's something on you. I don't know what, but it feels, ooh, it's so that time.
Yeah. I love the UK. I just love the UK.
Yeah, I feel it on you. I'm like, girl, there's something on you. It's like, woo.
Yeah, I have to keep going back, you know.
Yeah,
and so
it's like you going home.
Yeah. When I go there, that's how I feel. Yeah.
You think you'll move there?
Probably one day. Yeah.
It feels
You got to
like
go next one of these trips. You have to go with me.
I have to go. Yeah, because I really do feel like you go home.
It is an amazingly magical trip. So I'm going to share something because I have no secrets, right? So there's been a couple of sisters that have gone with me, and they didn't talk to me after they came back.
Why?
Because they got so freaked out by the energies over there.
Oh,
you know, it's a magical place. And I'm not talking about witchcraft.
No.
It's a magical place. And it shook them to their core. And they have not had anything to do with me since.
I'm looking forward to going.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It will shift you in crazy ways.
Wow.
I love it there. I just absolutely love it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One day you'll go with me.
I'm gonna go. I want to go.
But the time that you go with me, we're going to make a side trip to Italy, though.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. I was just talking about Italy.
I've never been to Italy. It's on my list.
Yeah. I went to Rome.
Did you?
Yeah. But I want to go back.
Okay, so let's stop this recording because people don't need to know all that.
Oh yeah, truly. Okay.
Oh, now we're just reminiscing.
Right.
So thank you everybody for joining us, me and Sister Goddess. And didn't we used to call you Goddess Butterfly?
Yeah, Mariposa.
What happened to that?
I still say that's what his Mariposa is.
Oh, that is
Mariposa.
Okay.
Butterfly.
All right. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm Butterfly still.
Okay.
It's another name coming, but we'll talk about it.
Sometimes we grow and expand and we change
names. It's another name
that
coming.
Happens.
It's coming.
Yeah.
I feel it.
Yeah. So yeah, so the beings are yelling at me about your new name. It starts with an S. I don't know. Ooh. Anyway, you'll know what it is.
Please give it to me. Because I keep feeling, I don't know what, I've been so like, when people say, what's your name? I'll be like,
Yeah, it starts with an S, but I can't grasp it, you know. If I do, I'll let you know. Okay. Anyway, thank you all for joining us and for having patience with my ramblings and reminiscences. And I hope that you all got some amazing information from what Sister Tracy Goddess was sharing with all of us.
Yes.
And I look forward to seeing you all on the next podcast.
Bye.